hello. We are live, so I hope so anyway. And hopefully my voice is being heard. Microphone looks like it's working on my end. So Friday here again, Friday at 2:30. I am with you at least for the next, I think 6 weeks now. So we're back at the lathe, and I do have it cleared off and something actually on the lathe today. So that's good news. So appreciate it. Oh, hey, Steve, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Thanks for popping in. Appreciate the comment. Looking good. So that's good. Hopefully I'm sounding as well. So Rick Bucker is back. Thanks, Rick, for joining. Good to have you here again. Rainy North Carolina. Yeah, it's damn chilly here in North Texas. I don't know what it is, but it's I just wrote my sort of president message for the DAW newsletter. It'll be coming out next week, and so I'm writing about how cold it is and how I moved away from Calgary, Canada, down here 24 years ago to get away from the cold. So and now we're cold again. Good to have you here, Nick. Sorry, Tony and Nikki. So thanks for joining. So anyway, yeah. So I think it's like 24 outside, something like that. So Ken's gonna be on my butt for complaining about the cold. We sure could use some heat. We're supposed to get to 28 below tonight. Yeah, we're already 28 below. Wow. Okay, that's cold. Yeah, I think we're supposed to get down to 10. I think in the next day or two, maybe 1 degree. But 28 below is awfully cold. So, Dwayne says snow and cold. Yeah, okay. Same thing here. It's going around. 37 below last night. Ken's up in Montana, so that's right below where you used to live. A few hours. So 37. Yeah, that's too cold for you down there, definitely, Tony. So it's snowing here in Vancouver, Washington. Yes. Unusual in Vancouver, Washington. Usually it depends how inland you are, but usually it's rain. You get that Japanese current going up through in the Vancouver area. Usually keeps it at least warm enough to not snow, but it is unusual. Joaquin says it's 36 here in Corpus Christi. Way too cold here for south. Yeah, so absolutely. Everybody's in a deep freeze. RG Walker, 26 in Southwest Arlington. Yeah, definitely. It's a cold day. So I've got a couple space heaters going in the garage, even though I've got a mini split that I put in, AC unit, which has a built-in heat pump. It's nowhere near effective enough to keep it warm enough in here. So it's a couple of space heaters, but that reminds me another bit I wrote in the newsletter that I just sent to the newsletter editor. If you are using space heaters, make sure you unplug them, turn them off and unplug them when you leave the shop. We don't want any accidents, so turning them off is fine, but I'd rather you unplug them if they're little electric space heaters. We don't need anybody's shop going up in flames in the cold weather. That's always a hazard, even in the house, so be careful with the space heaters, but stay warm. So lots of preamble. 230 Todd, if you don't know what that is, go check some of the old live streams. If you ask me, I'll tell you what that's all about. But we're coming here with a face grain series. Let me put that back up. So face grain series, it's up in that corner. I can't point to it. And so I preempted the last couple of weeks in prep for my A10 mini demo, which went fairly well. We had lots of participation, lots of questions. We have the follow-up coming up in, let's see, it's up there February 21st, so Sunday is a Q&A follow-up session. And so that's going to be a kind of answering questions from the February 6th event. Both events, both replays are available for $10 each. $10 total. So one ticket gets you to both, access to both things. So if you're interested in how I run my show here, how I do the demos, the camera angles, and all that kind of stuff, A10 Mini is how I do that. So if you're interested, take a look. I feel like a bit like Kilroy here above the banner. Anyway, so that's all cleaned off my desktop or my lathe stand here, and we've got, like I showed before, we finally have some turning back on the lathe. So face grain series. So I preempted the last 2 weeks. That's what I said for doing this, and so for doing the A10 setup, because I had gear all over the lathe bed here and doing my demo on the A10. And so we're back at it with actual wood turning now. And so I've got a little piece of, I believe, walnut on here. I got a bunch of blanks I cut out of some boards that I had kicking around. And today we're going to look at the bowl gouge and what that's all about. So let me get back over here. So, oh, Billy's in the house. There it is. Billy Bart, good to see you here. Hope you're feeling better. And yeah, stay warm down there. I'm sure it's cold in the Alamo City. So, Todd, even. I'm not sure what that meant. Billy. So, oh, maybe it's Michael saying hi to Billy. So it's good to have Billy here. What do you say? My mini split doesn't keep up my shop warm enough when it gets as cold as it is about to get either. Yeah. So, you know, they have little heat pumps, and that's just really heat transfer cages or coils. So there's not as too big a differential in to get it working right. So be careful with the space heaters. Chris, hope you're staying warm. Yes, I'm trying to. Space heaters, but like I said, and check your email, Chris. I've got my newsletter input to you. So anyway, let's get on with what we're talking about. We're talking about face grain. We're talking about bowl gouges, kind of a place to start. I really don't have much more of a topic started than that. Let me show this image though. So this is this is off Doug Thompson's website or one of his videos or something, but it was a good image to show sort of the gouge profiles. You know, he's taken, you know, raw gouge that he makes and just ground off the tips of them to show the different profiles. So on the far side of the screen, the wrong way, Todd, over the far side, which is I believe the left side, is sort of a V-shaped flute gouge. In the middle is a U shape, and then underneath my head here is, I believe, a parabolic shape, or more of a parabolic shape. So what does that do? What does that do for the gouge? It affects the how the wings kind of get swept back if you're doing a swept back grind. You know, that's mostly what I use my bowl gouge. I do have 40/40 grind and do have bottom of the bowl grinds or standard bowl grinds and stuff like that. So, and we'll take a look at some of those. But what I want to look at is I've got a couple of U-shapes, a U-shaped gouge and a sort of a V-shaped gouge, and I'll show you what they do to the wing when you grind them. And I grind with a very grind jig, so it's consistent in the way it swings and the nose angle and stuff. So it's a pretty good comparison. So let me grab those and see. We've got that one, and let's see if I got the right ones. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Overhead, and I don't have a really great way to show this. I'm going to lean them on here and zoom this camera in. So it's not going to work. I'm going to have to go here and get my head off there. So if you can kind of see, this one here is a U-shaped gouge, and this one is V-shape, right? So that's the flute profile on the inside. And when we take a look at how they're sharpened, they're both sharpened with the same 55 or 52 degree angle, same settings on the very grind jig and all that stuff. What I see is in the U-shaped gouge, when I sweep back my wing, it's a flatter profile along here, and I'll just twist that over just a little bit. So this is a bit flatter. I still like a little bit of convexity I won't say concavity, but convexity to it. So it's a little bit more straight. Where this one, the V-shaped gouge, because you get that sort of wall that changes a little bit, you get more of a convexity on your curve here. At least it's easier to get that little convex curve. So, and that's what I like. I like a little curve to this wing. If you have a parabolic flute gouge, then you'll probably get a better sweeping curve here as well, because a parabolic flute, if I look at this V flute again, and let me get on the other side here. If we take a look at this V flute, I'll leave my finger there for a second because it's a bit of a contrast. You get these wings or areas that are fairly straight in terms of how this wing kind of comes down the flute, or the shape of the flute. With parabolic, that's going to be an ever-changing curve along here, and so you'll have a better convexity around this wing here. So that's what I see as the difference. In use, in practical use, I don't see a whole lot of difference. I'm used to both. I use both all the time, so I'm not particular about it. This one is a Sorby gouge. It's actually one of my favorites. And if I take a look at it, so we can drop that down there for a second, at its flute profile, this looks like more of a, it's a V flute. It might be a bit parabolic. It's hard to tell. But I do like this gouge a lot. It's one of my favorite ones, and I can get a nice curve on that top wing. So that's kind of my standard sweep, and every one of these is sharpened the same way. Even the little guy. This is a little 3/8 gouge, and it is a U shape. And it gets ground the same way, but you can see the wings are somewhat flat. So something to think about. And check out. So other gouge flutes, or grind angles and stuff like that. Here's one that used to be a swept-back wing grind, and I put just a very blunt sort of edge on there for doing the bottom or final cut on the inside of a bowl. If we get time, I don't know if we'll get there today with this one, but we'll use this at some point in the future. So. And then the other one that I had in my hand was a big 5/8 gouge that I've turned to a 40/40 grind. So I've been practicing this one quite a bit more. And this is oops, I can't see it there, a V-shaped gouge. So this works well for the 40/40 grind. I'm not sure why you wouldn't be able to do it on any other kind of flute geometry, but we'll see. So this is a master cut gouge. This is one of the one ways, and this is a parabolic flute. You can see that ever-changing curve in that profile though there. So this is a true parabolic curve. This, however, is one I've got sharpened at a 40/40 grind. I use this one quite a bit for that. The other end of that one, this is a double-headed. I think they're called master cut gouge. And yeah, so I put a blunt bottom bowl gouge grind on this one as well. So I got two ends on that one. All of these are going in my, except for the Sorby, in my handle system. And so these adapters are all made for the specific size. This one says half inch gouge. Well, this master cut is actually 13 millimeters, which is slightly bigger. So I've taken one of my 1/2 inch and just drilled it out 13.5 millimeters. So I mount this guy on the lathe. I've got this 1x8 adapter here on my big lathe. These are 1x8. I was talking to actually Nick Bertrand in San Antonio, and some of you guys may know him. He's a customer. He's got a new Thompson gouge. This is interesting. So I don't know if Nick probably isn't listening to this, but he bought a new Thompson gouge, and Doug gets the steel in rounds at sort of a greater than standard or nominal dimension. So this is a 5/8 gouge, but this is bigger than 5/8 here. He trims down the shank to 5/8. Well, on the gouge that Nick just got, this wasn't all the way down to 5/8. It was milled just 1/64 bigger, so it was 41/64 instead of 40/64. So it wouldn't fit in his 5/8 adapter. That's 1/2 inch. I don't know if I have a 5/8 out here, so yeah, let me grab one. .5/8 adapter that goes in. I got the set screws in the way. Stay there. Goes in, no problem. I got that other set screw, just back that off a little bit. So it goes in right up to the shank area. So there's very little slop in that, and so these I get drilled out exactly the 5/8 or just thereabouts, maybe a thousandths greater or something like that. But if your shank doesn't fit, so this probably isn't ground or milled down exactly right, and so that's what Nick had a problem with. Actually, Tony, you had a problem with that with one of your gouges, and so the thing I told Tony and Nick to do is mount this in a handle on your lathe head. So this is 1/8. Mount this on here. Take the set screws out. Get a Jacob's chuck and just drill this out a little bit bigger. So easier to mill aluminum to the size than trying to grind this down to size. So that's one way to get about it. Yeah, what's I think Tony's. Yes, mine was one of Cindy's. Yeah, and Cindy's. I think most of Cindy's gouges are Thompson tools. There are a few that she has that aren't, but I think that was the case, Tony. So I think we worked through that. So yeah. Anyway, that's what I did with this one. This is now a 13.5 millimeter, and it fits my metric gouges just fine. So it's something that I think is sometimes easy enough to do in a home shop, but it's certainly something I think I might add to the website is custom drilling those out to a flute size for customers, because I know it is an issue. I'm on the wrong side. So, Steve's here. Thank you, Steve, for making it. Appreciate it. So let's take a look and try and turn this little piece of walnut a little bit. To be honest, I haven't turned for a while, a couple of weeks anyway. So we'll see how this goes. So I've got it between centers. I've got a step center mounted in the chuck on this side. I've got my adapter, and I'm using my little Nova chuck. It's just convenient because I got these small jaws in this one. My other chucks have bigger jaws and not set up right now. And then just the tailstock center. Lock that down, tighten that up, and I kind of pre-balanced it. I cut it around slightly round on the bandsaw, and so there's not a lot of. I tried to make the sides fairly straight up and down because it's a fairly uniform piece of wood. So this is walnut. I probably should have my respirator on, but we'll do a little bit of work here. Just showing a few of the cuts and stuff. I'll use my Thompson 1/2 inch gouge swept back grind. And we're going to true up this face first, so I will get this set this way. The distance away from the workpiece here has to be enough so you get the full bevel on there. So I don't mind being a 1/2 inch over or so. Let me tighten that in a little bit. There we go. And do I have this guy set up? I think I do. Come on, alarm. There we go. That's what I wanted. My finger's stuck in that thing. There we go. So, power, speed down, power on. Get back up to speed. Double check. That's tight. The step center is digging in, so tool on the tool rest. I've got my bevel pointed kind of in the direction I'm going to go across, so it's going to go across that way. So that's where we're pointed. Tool into my hip. I'm just seeing how much I have to take off to get to round. So that's got round all the way around. So that's the final diameter that we're going to have on this piece. My flute's kind of rolled over to 45 degrees to the left. There's really no reason to polish this up quite so much like this, but because typically I might be cutting the corners off by now and stuff, but wanted to kind of get a view of how that cut is made. So the handle's fairly low, it's in my hip, so that I'm cutting off, I'm making the cut right on that. Let me zoom. This is how basically all bowl gouge is cut. You're going to be cutting with a very small section of the actual gouge. So I'm cutting right off that corner there, lower corner. I'm not using any more this way. I'm not using any more of this nose up here. Just that one little corner right there. So we're getting most all of our cut right off that little corner. And no matter if I'm doing this side or pulling this way, or it's usually just a very small section of the gouge that's actually cutting. Even and this is where having that. What the heck was that? Hang on, folks. And some electrical failure going. I think I just popped a fuse. Bear with me a second. Show interrupting. I'll be right back. I'm going to turn my mic off for a second. Give me 2 minutes, or not even that, 30 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So I have a couple of space heaters, and this is why it's important to make sure they're unplugged when you leave the shop. Two of them plugged in the same circuit. Obviously, that wasn't smart, Todd. I think blew a circuit up there. So I'm gonna have to probably take care of that. Check the outlet up there, make sure it's not overloaded, and stuff. That the space heaters take a lot of juice, so um, be careful. So let me just finish what I'm doing here. We're just going to round this off. We'll show a couple other cuts. So that's cleaning up the edge cut. And if I was to make a bowl out of this, I'd want to flatten this. You can't see what I'm doing. I'm going to flatten this face first, and then we'll cut the corner off. So. And pull the tool rest around, make it parallel with the turning. I have to give myself a bit more room between the tailstock and the turning. So just loosen off the tailstock, wind it out, tighten it up again. Now I can get my banjo in place. And we'll just do a little bit of a draw cut here across the edge. Don't need to go terribly fast, 1200. It's a pull cut or a draw cut, so I'm drawing the tool towards me. A little bounce there, so I'm gonna roll the tool over and scrape a little bit back and forth. Take some of that bounce out. We'll turn the tool back onto the bevel. Cut that. So when I roll the tool over like this, tight, and just go over a little bit. I'm cutting with the wing. So this is where a flat wing kind of has a disadvantage, at least in my estimation, because this is taking a fairly wide swathing cut at one time with that wing like that. When I roll it over, I'm cutting on the bevel, on that very toe right there, that very tip of the, oops, you can't see that, tip of the cutting edge there. So when I roll it up to cut with the bevel, I'm cutting like that, roll it over to scrape. If I have a V-shaped gouge, has more of a wing, then you can see my contact area is much smaller, right? So when I'm scraping with this thing, I'm not scraping with the whole length of the wing. I'm only scraping with a shorter section. So let me just widen out. So this is the difference between I think what a U shape versus a V shape gouge will get for you, or a parabolic shape. So I'm able to scrape with a smaller section of wood. Wonder if I can get that thing in there. See, I'm just contacting that one little section of wing, so it's not a huge cut, and it's a little bit more controllable. Roll the tool over onto the bevel. Sorry about that. Just kind of looking at something else with the shop going on. So, so that's the cleanup cut. So now we got a fairly clean surface on this side. We can define a tenon area, but I'm going to clean up this corner and start making a corner cut. So this is where I would turn the tool rest about 45 degrees to the turning. Take the bowl gouge and just kind of do some pull cuts along here, some marking cuts, just to clean up those, take that corner off. So I'm going around the corner, I'm starting to cut with the bevel riding. So dig in. I'll start to turn my body a little bit so I can start making some shaping cuts. I'll start cutting in here to work my way down to a tenon. I've got my jaws over on this side, so that's the kind of size of tenon I'm going to make over here. So visually I can kind of see where I'm going to want to be. And these jaws over here, they're dovetail on the outside, but they're not on the inside. They're straight with a little bird's beak. So a straight tenon over here is what I'm going to need. So I'm cutting in on the bottom bevel, cutting that nose area. I'll go over here just a little bit. Using the nose, rubbing on that bevel there. Just turning the handle in. And then once I get to that corner, I open up a little bit and cut with the bottom wing. I can continue that cut around by dropping the handle, start to ride the nose bevel again. Around the outside. Kind of an ugly shape at this point, but kind of get the idea of how you can kind of change from one to another. So we've got the basics of a bowl roughed out with those kind of cuts. We've got the cleaning cut and the tenon cut and shear scraping, or not shear scraping, but scraping. And then, so a few different versatile things we can do with the bowl gouge. And I got to be honest, I am a little distracted now with what went on in the shop. So I apologize for that. Let's see. So Steve is asking, what respirator do you normally use? Thinking about one. I've got the JSP Power Cap. So in the US, it's here sold by Peak Safety. I think over in the UK, you can get them at Axminster. So yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. Trend Air Shield works well as well. I have one of those. It's busted on me, so I picked up a new one. Cindy, good to have you here. Thank you for joining. If you missed it earlier, I had some sort of electrical thing going on with two space heaters plugged in at the same circuit. Should not do that. And I made a warning at the beginning of the live stream. If you're going to use space heaters in the shop, make sure they're unplugged, turned off and unplugged when you go in at night. So this is the time of year in cold weather that we see these tragedies. So, and thanks for joining today, Cindy. So we're just talking basics of the bowl gouge. I showed a few different sizes. Let's see. Shear scraping and shear cutting. Let's do some of that on this little guy. We're going to worry about the tenon later and stuff like that. So, so if I if I wanted to clean this up and it's kind of an ugly shape, I'll probably fix up the shape here pretty quick with some of the cuts I'm going to make. Turn the gouge right over and scrape with the bottom wing. I got a gap between the wood and the top wing that I'm hitting with the bottom wing. My handle is very low. You can kind of see that in this wider shot. I'll show a little bit more. Handle's very low. It's down on my upper thigh. And going back and forth, I'm getting these nice wispy little shavings here. So that's shear scraping. If I have that same position, but turn the handle around or move the flute from fully closed pretty much to somewhat open, I'm going to rub on this bevel here along this wing on this piece right there, and we'll get the wood coming down and taking the shearing cut right there. So with the handle low like this, I'm getting the wood coming at an angle and it's shearing off. So that is something that we can do as well. Lay the bevel there just till it comes over. I'll take a nice fine cut. I'm only doing 1200 RPM on this thing. We get a fairly good clean cut here. So, yeah, another use for the bowl gouge. And again, for me, another reason why I like some convexity to this wing. I like this wing bent a little bit. I know others out there like a nice straight wing, but for me, I like it a little bit bent. It helps. And shear scraping, because you're only scraping with a small section of the wing at a time, and it's just easier to control in those situations and a few others. So let's move this rest around and finish shaping this thing a little bit. And we're going to use some, I got to put my leg around the backside of the lathe, lay that bevel on there, and shear cut that into shape. We could also do a full push cut. This camera is going to be a little bit in the way probably. But as we see here, I can't get my bevel fully engaged here until about there. So I wouldn't be able to push cut I wouldn't be able to push cut down here, but I can push cut up here. And by push cut, I mean I'm going to lay the bevel on here and push it up this way. We want to cut this way because we're cutting with the grain in this direction. On grains that go this way, you've got, it's hard to do with your fingers backwards, but you've got grain supported from this grain being supported by this grain, and so on and so forth. So that's so we can do a push cut from about there up. If I try that, the handle's right against the tailstock. Go back and start again. I had some weird noises happening in here. Not sure what that noise was. So we'll pick up that push cut again. I'm getting some bouncing right there, so that's, I am now kind of cutting into end grain, sort of, and so it gets a little bouncy around that corner. This is a great example of where you got to get transition points. I got this really staticky sawdust all over the place. You see all these transition points where I started to cut, stopped to cut, started to cut, stopped to cut, and fell off a cut. So those kind of things you can clean up with shear scraping. If I had a bit bigger bowl, a bit more room to do a full push cut, it'd be a little bit easier. And I haven't turned dry wood bowl for a little while, so I don't think I've sharpened this gouge properly. Clean it out a little bit, get a better view. So we will come around here and shear scrape this side, and I may have to come back this way and do it this way as well. So we can blend those cut portions together. Use the other wing, kind of blend. Those bumpy bits into place. And I've got one portion where I can't reach either one, but so that works fairly well. Other tools would work better for doing that. Get a scraper, negative rake, or otherwise, and finish the bowl. So I think Chris Parker's here. Thank you, Chris, for joining. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're well. We're trying to stay warm. I'm sure you guys are feeling a bit of a chill over there too. So let me stop there for a second and kind of review a little bit. Again, just a little off my game here with some shop stuff going on. So let me since Chris is in the house, let me talk about this coming up. Let's see, there it is. Woodturners Retreat on the 27th. We'll have an event with myself and Chris Parker. So we will be doing. I'm not sure what Chris is doing. I think I'm doing a little oval box. So I've got a little marked up practice piece here to make a little oval box. So we'll be doing that on the 27th. I think 11 a.m. Does it say there? Doesn't say. I think 11 a.m. Central start time, which is 5 UK time. So check that out. Tickets are on sale at the woodturnersretreat.com. Go check that out. Let's see. What do we got? David's asking. Oh, David's asking hi, saying hi to Chris. Cindy's asking, Todd, can you speak about the advantage of scraping the gouge rather than using a scraper? It's really just the tool in hand, I think, more than anything. So if you've got a tool in hand that has an edge, use it. If you've got one tool, you don't have scrapers, you've got, use the wing of the gouge as a scraper. So I've got, trying to find my other scraper. Oops. And where are you? There you are. Yeah, so that's one reason I would use a scraper. Let me take this. I use a bowl gouge as a scraper. Dang. Oh, I got that. Yes. Got this other banner up. Sorry, 1 second. Too many things on at one time. That is on. There we go. Take that off. There we go. So I've got this slightly radius scraper. It's not negative rake. It's just a standard scraper. And then I've got my teardrop scraper that I use quite often as well. So either of these would work as well for scraping. This slightly rounded one is one I picked up from taking a class with Al Sturt. He puts it up on the edge, doesn't lay it flat. He's typically got it up like this to shear scrape. And having the tool rest up just a little bit to give you that cut on center with the handle high sort of thing. It basically gives you a shear scrape around and I think I need to sharpen this, hone this guy up a little bit. It's been bouncing in the drawers for a little while. That's one way. Use the teardrop scraper the same way. The half round bar allows you to rotate it to any sort of shear angle. There. A bit more honing on these tools would help a lot, but the very minimal tear out on the end grain. I can feel it's rough, and same place over there. So, but otherwise, it's not a bad finish. That's ready for sanding at 100, 200, and then honing the tools will certainly help. Let's see. And Dave's asking, would you use a round carbide scraper? For shear scraping a finish cut, probably not. I tend to like high-speed steels for that. Carbide. I mean, you can get the flat round one and roll it up on edge and make a shear scraping out of it. So yeah, you could. I was thinking the traditional approach to carbide this way. But yeah, if you're able to roll it up and get a shear scrape off it, the flat carbides would work. Chris, do you prefer negative rake or standard scrapers, Todd? I've got a few of each. So one of the things that I talk about is having a round bar, or even taking a regular. Let me widen this out a little bit. A regular tool like this, that would be a typical scraping action. And if I roll it up on edge, I close this angle between the wood and the tool here, that's essentially a negative rake. The rake angle is this. If you go 90 degrees here, then you're basically scraping, just like you would here. You're 90 degrees to the tool. But if you bring it up and bring it forward, so this angle is closed, it's shear scraping, but it's a form of negative rake scraping. So that's all negative rake does is change the angle between the wood surface you're cutting and the tool steel. So here's a traditional negative rake scraper for bowls. Let's take that flat on the tool rest and show that there. Then the angle between the wood right here at this intersection and the metal is no longer 90 degrees. I've got this metal pointed down, so I've got a negative less than 90-degree angle between my metal and my wood. So that's negative rake scraping. That works just fine with a handle parallel. I take a traditional tool, like this flat one, roll it up on edge, close this angle between the tool. That's a negative rake as well. So it's the same concept, just different terms. So I use a combination of both. So this one, I always use it rolled up on edge, and I always use it with a closed angle between the wood and the metal. And so that gives me, let me take that comment down. Why does that do that? And so that gives me the negative rake between this angle and that angle. And I really do need to hone that one. That's what's bouncing, is that is hitting there. Okay. Yeah. I usually have a credit card hone sitting up here, but I don't know where it's gone to. But yeah, so that's my take on negative rake scrapers. They're very useful. I like them and do use them a lot, but the application of it is how I differentiate, I guess, between standard scraping and negative rake. Negative rake shear scraping is a form of negative rake scraping, so yeah, that's why I have the half round bar on my tool bar, so that I can roll it up on any angle I want and be able to get any sort of shear scraping that I want. You can put a negative rake angle on this teardrop cutter and use it straight like that. That'd be fine. No problem there. You can even put more rake on it and tilt it up. So let's see. We got a bunch of questions coming in. So hang on here. Come, I can't scroll. Not scrolling. Ah, there we go. David, your teardrop is high speed. It's high speed steel, David. This one is a T1 high speed steel. If I can get my Allen keys out here. Is that the one? No, that's not the one. I've got it here. So there's the small one. It's teardrop shape. It's 3 millimeters or 1/8 inch thick. It's got a slot in it, so you don't have to take the screw out of your tool. Just rotate it around. It's sharpened at 75 degrees to one surface, and so it's a T1, which is the sort of it's like an M2. It's kind of it's a high speed steel. That's these are actually made from planer blades, so it's used to that high impact, sort of wear resistance cutting. And so yeah, just stick them on the platform and sharpen them up on a grinder, any kind of stone, and they're good to go. So yeah, they go on the half round bar this way for shear scraping. If you turn it up or upside down, tighten it in this way. The flat of the bar down on your tool rest. Now I've got a bit of a hollower. So the flat gives you a little bit of torque resistance when you're hollowing. So dual purpose sort of bar, half round and stuff. Flat for hollowing, half round for shear scraping. Just flip your cutter whichever way you're going. Thanks for asking. It's a good question. These cutters come out. I got 2 sizes in them. This is the smaller size. This is the length difference. This is 1.5, and the other one's 1 3/4. Let's see. Do you put a burr on your scrapers? Yeah, I'll sharpen them with a hone every once in a while, stroking up, put a little burr on it. Otherwise, I'll take it to the grinder and resharpen them that way. They're quick as anything to sharpen. So Has anybody used any negative rate carbide? I'm not sure. Good question. Let somebody answer. If you raise your tool rest, it's not. It is not negative. Is it not negative? If I raise my tool rest, Chris, let's see. Let's see what you're talking about. So I put this typical, and I have a tool there. I want 90 degrees. Let me go get this. Not that one. This one. So I've got right at that tool surface, I want to have 90 degrees or less. I don't want any more, otherwise I'll get a catch where that'll dig in and come down. So if my tool rest is high, I'm going to have to raise the handle so that I have less than 90 degrees between the tool, or 90 degrees or less between the tool and the wood. That way I'm not going to get a catch and cut. The reason I'm going to catch is that in this instance, and let me put this maybe on the big screen. So this is kind of a good point, Chris. If I go in there and I've got greater than 90 degrees, that means the point here is the point where this is going to be. It's going to force my tool out a little bit. It's going to push it out this way because I'm going to dig in. It's going to grab that edge and pull my handle up. So if I have my handle up already, then I've closed this 90 degree gap, and I am not going to get a catch that way. So I've got this flat on the rest, scraping like a traditional scraper, the handle high. I can now turn it over on the side. I can have the handle low or high. It's really depending on where I'm going to sharpen or where I'm going to cut on this curve, right? So turn that one off. Because this is really shear scraping at its what you're doing here, and I do need to sharpen this one. It's not cutting worth a darn that way. The one thing you don't want to do is when you're scraping on this edge, you want to cut with the bottom half of the tool, the bottom half here, so this area in here. I don't want to really touch this edge unless I'm, in full control and doing a light cut, because that could be a little bit precarious. So once you get used to the tool, how it works, certainly use it how you like. David answered, Cindy, I found that it tends to bounce on end grain, or maybe it was just me. So didn't know carbide negative rake was available. It is. It's actually from Easy Wood Tools, or Sleazy Wood Tools, I sometimes call them. they put a patent on it, and I don't know how you put a patent on a negative rake, but they've gone and done it. So other people have made negative rake carbides, and they get cease and desist letters from Sleazy Wood Tools. So not a friendly sort of company. Larry Bennett, what gives the smoother finish? Well, I think that's your choice. Depends how sharp your tools are, how well you operate the tool, and all that kind of stuff. So shear scraping to me gives a better finish, and so I will typically shear scrape with this guy rolled up on the side around any sort of corner and stuff like that, and get a good finish. If when the bit is sharp, I hadn't sharpened that one. So let's see. Question. Okay, question mark after that last one. Yep. Yeah, Easy Wood. I believe that's true. I've used a negative rake carbide cutter, and they seem to work great. Excellent. That's good news. So I just wish they would allow others to make them, because you pay a lot for them. Anyway, so I guess that's going to be it for me. It's at the half-hour mark, so we've been here an hour. I've got a bit of a mess to clean up, and I've got an electrical issue to figure out. So let me do that. Go big, and just let me say thanks for joining me here today. Appreciate you guys coming along. There's a lot more people than I thought would show up. I didn't really market this one that well. I just posted it. So it's good to have familiar people around and familiar faces joining our names anyway. So stay warm, stay healthy and safe. Have a great weekend. Y'all come back next Thursday, next Friday at 2:30, and I'll be here. And then next Friday is the 20. Well, what is today? Jeez, I don't even know what day. It's the. I should know what day it is. Somebody tell me the date. Hang on, on my phone. No, I don't have my phone here. Whatever it is, that Saturday I think is when we're doing Woodturner's retreat. I can't get it straight. We're doing that on the 27th. So that's a couple of weeks away. Let me. It's the 12th today, so 19th is the next one. The Sunday the 21st is when I'm doing my Q&A follow-up for the ATAM, and then the following Saturday, the 27th, is the Woodturner's retreat. So on the show on the 26th, the Friday the 26th, well, just 2 weeks from now, I'll give away a ticket to the Saturday show. So tune in, and if you not feeling lucky, go buy a ticket, and we'll see you one place or another. So that's it for me. 2:30 Todd out. We'll see you next Friday. Thanks all. Bye for now.